We're going to do a couple textbook problems, 21, 25, and we're going to use the high-low method for this. Be a little bit of a review from last time, 2 weeks ago. And then we're going to go in the handout and do a linear regression. Okay, so high-low method. Let's go to the problems. Now, one thing about the high-low method, I know in our, yeah, it's not the view I want. We can do it for units, but we can do it for other things too. And one of the things that we always try to do is control costs. And so a lot of times when there's costs, you say, okay, well, what's driving those costs, and then figuring out what how to manage them basically. And especially being in managerial accounting, that's very important to know what actually is driving them. In your 211 class, you had activity-based costing, and it goes in line with that. You how much does an activity cost rather than the units. I when I do this in the classroom, I show the movie Moneyball for activity-based costing. If you ever see it, there's a movie, a really good movie called Moneyball, and Moneyball kind of said, it's activity-based costing. The movie, and if you've ever seen it, it's a pretty good movie, but it's activity. They tell the owners of the baseball teams to don't buy players, buy wins. You don't necessarily want players, you want wins, and so how do you buy wins? And that's kind of the same thing we do with activity-based costing. Is we want to know what actually drives the cost, and then we can work on reducing it. But if you have a something that you don't know, it may not be related to the cost, it's very hard to control it. Okay, so we want to know, in this case, how much does it cost? What is this? Delivery costs. Okay, so there's miles driven and delivery costs. Now, the nice thing about this one is there's only two of them. So he said he had the high and the low. So let's see here. Hey, what's going on? Okay, so let's take the miles driven here for the high. And I'll put headings in here in a second. That's not the high. There's only two of them there. I missed it. I'm sorry. The high is 17,000 is actually higher than 12,000. I should know that. Okay, so this is 13,000. Okay, so I'm going to put this up here that this is going to be miles. Oops. And these would be costs. Let me make this a little bigger. There we go. All right, and we're going to have our low. And our low is 12,000 miles. And the cost is 10,000. Okay, so let's find the difference. Oops. Yeah. All right. 17,000 minus 12,000 is 5,000. And it costs Next to 3,000. So the difference of 5,000 miles cost us an extra 3,000. That $3,000 increase, is that due to variable or fixed costs? So this cost here, this has both variable and fixed. Let me go over here. This cost has both of these in here. Now, if there's a change in this total cost, is it because of variable or fixed costs? You can put it in chat if you want. Oh, come on, you guys. Variable.
What was the question?
The change in total cost, the $3,000 change, is it due to variable or fixed cost? And I just got in chat that, yeah, it's the variable cost. So this change has to be variable cost. And the reason is fixed costs don't change. Your rent's not going to change. So a fixed cost doesn't change. So if there's a change in the total cost, it has to be because of a variable. It can't be because, it can't be fixed because fixed costs don't change. They're fixed. So this is a variable. This is a change in variable cost. Oops. And so we can figure out what the variable cost is per unit. Okay, and I'm going to come up here. So we always take the cost and divide it by the units, which in this case is going to be miles. So this will give us how much it is per mile. What is that? That's 60 cents maybe? Yep. So our costs are $0.60 per mile. So our variable cost per unit is 60 cents per mile. And again, this problem is a little bit different than the one we did in the handout. Just they're using miles instead of units, but the idea is exactly the same. Okay, now I'm going to do it up here, I think. Maybe I'll copy it down. So we want to figure out how much it is per for the fixed cost now. Get the variable cost. And we now want to get, I'm making this look terrible. I'll leave it like that. Okay, so coming down here, so we get the variable cost per unit. Now we want to do the fixed cost. Now we're going to go back to these, and we're going to split these up between variable and fixed. So I'm going to put, I don't have a good way to do this. I'm going to move everything over. I need more room here. Okay. Plenty of room now. Okay, so this 13,000, some of this is variable, some of it's fixed. Oops. So we're going to split this up between those two. Okay, so let's do the variable. So variable is, for the high, it's 17,000. Times 0.6 equals, need another arrow, hold on. So you have to get the variable cost first. Let's see. 10,200. Let me change this. Okay, so of this 13,000, variable is 10,200. So if we want the fix, we just have to subtract out this variable, right? If we want to have just a fixed left, so sort of like this, the 13,000 will variable and fixed. And we need to subtract out just the variable amount, which is 10,000, this number. And that'll give us our fix, 2,800. And we do the same thing for the low. I don't need this to be underlined anymore. Oops. Okay, so on this one, the variable would be 12,000. Oh, yep. Hey. And we should get the same fixed number because it's fixed. So 12,000 times 60 equals 7,200. So 10,000 minus 7,200, and we should get exactly the same fixed cost because it's fixed. I'll zoom out in a second here. Let me get a screenshot of it. So this is what it would look like. Variable cost per unit is 60 cents. Per mile. And the fixed cost is a total fixed cost. We're 2,800. So this is what they're actually asking for down here. Well, actually, they're asking for the equation. The equation would look like this. So total cost would be equal to and X equals miles. That's what the cost equation. Cost function. Any question on that thing? I'm gonna get a screenshot of that. And again, you say, well, why are we actually doing this? You're trying to do this to get well, for two reasons. First of all, to get an idea of how much it's costing you to do something, and to do it fairly quickly. High low. I mean, even with this one, we only took 15 minutes or whatever to do it. So you can very quickly figure out the cost, and also it saves a whole lot of time digging through the individual costs. What goes into delivery costs? Well, you have the truck maintenance. They need gas, obviously, fuel. They need tires. They need windshield wipers, and you got the guy driving it, and the woman driving it, or whoever's driving it. You got to pay them a certain amount of. You have all these costs, and it's kind of difficult to categorize those necessarily into variable or fixed. And because it'd be very difficult to do that, also it'd make it more likely that errors would pop up. If you think, okay, this is a variable cost when really it's a fixed cost, or vice versa, it'll throw the whole thing off. Taking the total is usually a better way of doing it. You usually get a more accurate number, and it's much quicker. So that's why we're doing it this way, rather than going through, here's the driver, here's their health insurance, here's their, here's the truck, here's the tires, we got to get brakes changed every so many miles, and all, instead of going through all that, you simply take the total cost. So it's a quicker way of doing it. Okay, let's come down here. All right, I think we're going to take one of these. They have three of them here. We have maintenance costs, health insurance costs, and shipping costs. And we're not going to do health insurance costs because their health insurance cost is all fixed. You can tell that because everything is exactly the same. There is no change in the total, so it'd be the health insurance would be a fixed cost. All right, so that leaves us with, we can do maintenance costs or shipping costs. Let's take maintenance costs. Now, be careful here. Notice that they've listed the costs first, unlike up here, and unlike in the handout, we have the cost second. So when I do this, I'm going to put the costs second like we've been doing it, but the idea is exactly the same. But be careful that the order here, so the maintenance costs are first, the machine hours are second. So we'll do these, yeah. All right, so let's see here. I'm gonna copy this down, okay, so we're gonna do this we're doing maintenance costs. I should put this in. It's gonna be by machine hours. Oops. All right, and so we have to get the high and the low. By the way, just like me on the first one, about if the stats hold up, about 10% of the people will miss this one on the test by not picking the high or the low. So we got to pick the one that's the highest and one that's the lowest. Now we don't do it by cost. We actually do it by whatever it is we're doing. So I'll show you what I mean here. Okay, so for maintenance costs, we have these machine hours. So which of the machine hours is the highest? I hope I didn't scare people. Which one is the highest for the machine hours? I think it's a 510. Anyone on your hired 510? I don't think so. Okay, so this will be the high. The machine hours will be 510, 510. And the costs that go with that are 5,271. All right, low. Low is 120. And the cost for that is 4,452. Okay. So this is for the maintenance cost. And again, we can do it for all three of these. I'm just going to do this one just because it's. But it's important to notice that they gave the cost first. I usually give the cost second. There's no, you can do it either way, but as long as you keep it straight as far as getting the variable cost per unit. Okay, so 510 minus 120 is 390. And the difference over here is, if this comes out to some wacky number, we'll round it a little bit. Maybe like the nearest penny or something like that. All right, the difference is 52.71 minus 819. Oops. Okay, so that is the difference. Okay, yep. And let's see here. Oh, I know what I was doing. I know what I was doing. So this down here, again, I know I keep harping on this, but this is a change in the variable cost. The difference between these two must be variable because fixed costs don't change. For the rent or whatever isn't going to change. Okay. Copy this. Again, part of my teaching you how to be lazy like me, cut and paste. What's in your cost accounting class? Oh, I learned how to be lazy. Wow. You use that your whole life. All right, 819, and this is divided by 390. Where's that? 819. Oh, that comes out even. All right, 21. Or 2.1, I should say. 210 per machine hour. I don't think I told you guys this, but back when I took the CPA exam, they didn't allow calculators. It sounds crazy, but you couldn't use a calculator on it. Actually, even the classes, the accounting classes, you weren't allowed to use calculators. and that was just the way it was, and it didn't change until years later. But anyway, in some ways it was hard because you had to do it by hand, but in other ways, a lot of times it was easy because the numbers always came out nice and clean. You didn't have 27.72345 8. You didn't have those kind of numbers, and so if you did come up with a number like that, 27.23, you knew it was wrong. So then you go back, okay, I know it's gonna, you do it again. Okay, it's 24. 24 nice and even. Okay, that's what it must be. So it actually, it was actually a little bit of a help because the numbers always came out, like this. They're nice, no rounding numbers. Okay. So this is our variable cost. This is per unit. Probably should say per hour. And probably should say the same thing up here. The other one, I should change that up above. This one is per mile. And again, it's just an activity rather than a unit, usually. Okay, so let's see. Now we need to figure out the fixed costs. And by the way, you do not have to do both of these. You can pick and choose. Yeah, I mean, if you do one and you're pretty confident with it, just you can keep it that way. Okay. So, okay, so let's take a look here. We have our high this is in machine hours. Oops. So our machine hours, the high was what, 510? And the total cost with that, you can just do it up here, by the way. I'm just kind of separating it out to get a little more room. Copy the same thing down here. Well, I'll wait till you do it. Okay, so let's do the first one. So the first one is 510 times 2.10 2.1 equals some number. Uh, 1071. So that would be the total variable portion of it. So this 5,271, it has both variable and fixed. 510 hours times 210 equals that. And then for the fixed, we would have minus 1,000. Well, whatever that equals. $4,200. This may have been a CPA question. So this is our fixed cost. Now, quite honestly, do you have to do it for the high and the low? You really don't, unless you want to check your answer. Um, so I would I'm going to do it just to make sure. Okay, the low was 120, and the low was 44.52. $2.52. So the total variable and fixed is 44,052. So if we just subtract out the variable, you should get the same 4,200. Yep. Okay. I'm going to do something here. Get these all on the same page. Okay, so variable cost, this is actually per machine hour. I should change it up above too. Is 210. Fixed costs are 4,200 total. So our cost function would look like this. This would be 210 x plus 4,200 that'll give us our total cost. So whatever you come up with, so whatever the machine hours would be, multiply by 210 and then add 4,200 to it. For example, let's take it. Let's say that you're gonna have 300 machine hours. So if you plan on using 300 machine hours in the next by month, by month, aren't they? Yeah. So let's say in January of the next year, you're going to think you're going to use 300 machine hours. I should say total cost estimate for. Oops. It would look like this. A couple ways of doing it, but I'm going to use the function because that's why they put it here. Well, we just plug in 300. So these will be the variable cost, and these will be the fixed. 210 times 300 is 630. So this would be 630 plus 4,200. So total cost will equal 48,330. I think. Did the math right? 42. I think that's it. So we could actually use this to estimate what our total cost would be, and that's kind of the idea behind it. We can now kind of control it. And so so here's the great thing about this is that now you can actually kind of start at least to control your cost for the maintenance department. Try to keep the hours down. Try to keep the machine hours down. That would be the way to at least, part of the way your strategy for reducing the total cost. So, if you could take out 100 hours, whatever, it would reduce the cost by $210, dollars in maintenance costs. Question there? Okay, let's take a break. But it's a little early, but we'll take a break. And when we come back, by the way, go ahead and take a screenshot of this if you haven't already. If you need to, or if you want to. Yeah. So and when we come back, we'll start in on chapter. The chapter 10 handout. We're going to go into the regression part. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I gave you this for homework. All right. Well, we'll do this one first. Come back. Hey, you know what? I'm sorry. Well, yeah, if you already did this, I'll while you take a break, I'll put this in. Let's say be back at let's say 3. While you're gone, I'll be working this one. Funny. It's not copying it. Hmm. How bizarre. Yeah, let's go with it. All right. Okay, 35 divided by 5. Ooh, break even. Ah, okay, break even would be variable cost is 7 and our fixed cost is 40. Selling price is 15. Okay, so Okay, so 15 minus 7 is 8x. And we add 40 to each side. So 8x equals 40. Divide both sides by 8. And if we want that in dollars, we just multiply that by 15. Okay. Okay, so this is what you should have gotten for ah. What is this, problem 3? Yeah. Wait a minute. Oh, I goofed it up somehow. Go down to the second page here for some reason. Ah, okay, I goofed it up. Okay, here, so this is what you should have gotten. $40 is the fix. Scratch that. 7 is the variable, and 40 is the fixed. And you can do it both ways. You don't have to do it both ways. You can just do it one if you wanted, but check your answer. And then down here, the break-even point. This is sort of like chapter 3. And I believe you should have got 5 units and $75 as the break even. So you guys got? All right. Okay. Now we're going to go to linear regression. And the linear regression is the most accurate of the ones that we're going to use. The problem with the high-low method, well, let's first talk about the good things about the high-low. Very quick. What's the highest? What's the lowest? Figure it out. You can get an estimate of what the variable costs and the fixed costs are pretty quickly. The drawback is that a lot of times you'll lose a lot of the data in between. And so here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. If we go back to the problem, no, not that problem. No, not that. Yeah, this one. You notice if you just pick the highest and the lowest, for the month, you're ignoring a whole bunch of data that you've collected to figure out the cost function. So if you just pick the highest and the lowest for the month, you're ignoring 10 months worth of data that's in there. Another problem is that sometimes the highest and the lowest are not very good indicators of the rest of the year. For instance, there are some businesses, some retail businesses, that something like 70 or 80% of their sales come in December, around the holidays. And in February, they don't sell anything. So, there's some businesses that are like that. And if you use February and December and you're trying to figure out what the sales will be in July, they're, good luck, because they're not going to be representing everything in between. So a lot of times taking the high and the low is not as ideal. It's taking all the data that you have. And so that's what regression does. It takes all the data. It's the best estimate of the variable and fixed costs. So that's why we're doing it. It's more accurate. It's a little bit more work, but it's more accurate. Okay. Let me get rid of this. Okay. So problem number 4, linear regression. Okay. So we have.
Professor, before, sorry to disturb, but before you explain 4, on number 3 homework, I have one question, like number C. I am like little bit, I did it, but I was like little bit confused on number C,
Okay, is that the break
the
even?
homework problem.
So this is C, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so on this one, now you have to get the selling price. So this is the selling price is 15, so that's what this is. And then the variable and fixed costs come from up above here. So this is the 7, that's our variable, and then this is our fixed. So when we come down here, we put it into our equation. I'll make these in green. We're going to take this from what we got up from the high-low above. Yeah, the fixed and the variable cost per unit. So that's where we got those two from. And then at break even, our income is going to be 0. And so this is kind of what the equation that you're solving is that.
Okay. Yeah.
No,
My answer is wrong. I did wrong, so I got it now. Thank you so much.
does it make sense? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't put the hold on. There's a couple shapes in here. So this is where this comes from. So 15x minus 7x equals 8x. Yeah. But it is, it is kind of some way a little bit cool that you can just, take be given this information and find the break even, with just this. You get this information, say use the high-low method, find the break even, and you can actually do it. On the exam, this is extra credit. This is extra credit on the exam. So on the exam, I'll say you'll do the high-low method, and then if you do the break-even part, it's extra credit. So my point being is that if you don't do it well on the exam, or you make a mistake, it's not gonna you still get 100 even with yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do is do what they call linear regression. And if you had your stats class, I'm sure you guys did this or something similar to it. But in this class, part of the problem is figuring out what are the X's and what are the Y's. So what are the X's, what are the Y's? And in this class, the nice thing is that Y's are always costs. Because Y is what you're trying to explain, and everything else is going to be an X. It's possible you have more than one X, but we're just going to have one X on this one. So the total costs are always Y's because we're trying to explain it. And this is the equation that you're really trying to let me think how to put this. I'll put it in mathy terms, and you don't need to put this down. So this is kind of what they show you as the equation for that. Whereas the A are the variable costs and the B's are going to be the fixed. You don't really need to know that for this though. Okay, so coming down here, so here's the total equation that we have. And this is a divided by. It's bolded, but yeah. So this will be on the top and this will be on the bottom. So the first thing we need to do is to find for this one, oops, x times y. Okay, so I'm going to come over here to my symbol. I'm going to say x, summation of x times y. Now, oops, too many things there. All right. So this squiggly line here, what does that mean? The sigma. You can put it in chat if you want. I'm sure you guys have had this before. Anyone? What does that mean? Oh, you guys are toying with me. Someone knows this. We use it as a symbol in math. And the symbol, we use this for summing. So this is sigma, it's for summing. And then we have x times y. So this one is adding it all up, and this one is multiplying. So in math, which do you do first? Do you multiply or add?
Add.
Actually, it's gonna be multiply. So you're multiply first and then add. And I'll show you what. So that symbol that's squiggly, that is a sigma, but that's going to tell us to add up after we've multiplied. So we're going to multiply first, and then we're going to add them all up. So we're going to take x times y. So okay, so this first one, so x times y for the first one. It's 5 times 55, whatever that is. Oops. Gotta turn the calculator on. Write that down. 5 times 55, 275. I'm gonna leave the dollar signs off these just because they're all gonna have that. Okay, so 295. So the next one is 6 times 59. And so these are the same as those up there. Uh, 8 times 72. Okay, so these are all, I'm gonna bold all those. So now we're going to sum those up. Add them all up. 275. I got 1205. So this is going to be our first our first little item that we're going to put into our equation. So this is sum x plus y. I should probably just put this as xy. This is the sum of xy's down here. Ah, okay, so that's our first one. Our second one is the summation of x. So here's x, and summation just means the s just means sum it up. So we're going to add up all the x's. So 5 plus 6 plus 8. Should be able to do that in my head, but I'm going to use a calculator just because. 19. So it's going to be 19. Now we're going to multiply 19 times the summation of y. So we're going to do the summation of y next. Just adding it up. By the way, if you're wondering about like math and how come in our Western language it's harder to do math, it's because we don't use symbols. Languages that use symbols, generally people are better at math because they're used to symbols. They're used to the squiggly sigma saying someone, they're fine with that. So it is kind of funny. You think about it just being, you wouldn't think that language would have much to do with numbers, but actually it does. Okay, so summation of that. And divided by n. N is just how many data points do we have? And so our data points here are going to be 3. We have January, February, March, so we have 3 months. So our n is going to equal 3. If we had 4 months, n would be 4. If we had 5 months, then you get the idea. So there's only 3 months here. So our n is going to equal 3. And that's going to equal some number. Okay, probably the easiest thing to do is to do this first. So 19 times 186 divided by 3. We'll get a number for that, and then we can probably figure out what this is going to be. Okay, so we have 1205, copy this down. So 19 times 186, and then we're going to divide it by 3 and come up with a number here. Ah, 1 second. It should be green. Okay, so this will be 1205 minus 178, and this will equal our top part of our equation. $27? And now we got to do the bottom part of the equation. Now, the bottom part of the equation is going to be a little bit trickier for the first one here. The summation of x times x, and I'll put that up here. I'll show you why it's it's a little bit tricky. You're multiplying it by itself. So this one will look like this. X times x, so 5 is your x. This is going to look silly, but I'm going to put it in anyways. So 5 times 5 equals what, 25? 6 times 6 is 36. And 8 times 8 equals, what is that, 64? So 5 times 5, 25. So this is what this one means. And we'll add that all up. And 25. So now we're going to do the denominator. So the numerator was 27. The denominator is what we're going to do next. So we're going to do x times x, which is 125. Minus. Summation of x is this summation of x we have here, 19. Summation of x, another 19. How come these aren't bold? Okay, divided by, and n is 3 again. It's going to equal some number. Okay. So again, just kind of doing the math here. So 125 minus 19 times 19 divided by 3. That's not going to be a nice number. 120.33. Keep the last two decimals. Keep it down to the penny. All right, so that equals 125 minus 120.33, 4.67. Okay, so this equation will look like this. This is going to be the numerator, this is going to be the denominator, so it'll be 27 divided by 4.67 equals some number. $5.78. So this is our variable cost per unit. Okay. So this is our best estimate of what the where's those? This is our best estimate of variable cost per unit. Okay, our fixed costs. Our fixed costs are summation of y divided by n. Okay, so we have y, summation of y is 186. N is 3. By the way, y's are the total costs. So this fixed cost calculation is really the same thing we did in the high-low method. We're going to take the total cost. We just took the average. There's a lot of symbols going on here, but what we're really saying is, what was the average total cost? What do? You add up the y's, the total costs, and divide them by however many there are. There's 3. So that does give you the average total cost, and then we're going to subtract out the variable cost, just like we did for the high-low method. We're using symbols and stuff, but the idea is exactly the same. Here's the total cost, variable and fixed. If we subtract out the variable, we'll be left with the fixed. So that's what we're really doing on this one down here. Again, here's the symbols for it, but all they're really saying for this part of the equation is what's the total cost, the average total cost. And then we're going to subtract the average variable cost. Okay, so the variable cost is 5.78. Summation of x was 19. Divided by, and n is still 3. So on average, we have, here's the total number of units. There's how many data points we have, 3, so divide them. There's the average number of units times the variable cost per unit. So this will be the average variable. So this is the average total cost minus the average variable cost. Okay, 168 divided by 3 is, I said that wrong, 186. 186 divided by 3, 62. Uh, 578 times 19 divided by 3. So 578, 5.78 times 19 divided by 3. $36.61. Okay, so this, whatever this comes out to, this will be our total fixed cost. I'm gonna move it down here. 62 minus $36.61. $25.39. So this would be our total fixed cost. And again, so this would be our best estimate of our total fixed costs. So variable cost per unit would be the 578. Oops, 578. And total fixed costs will be 2539. And again, the reason we're doing it is that this is a more accurate number. It takes into account all of our data points. There's only 3 of them, but takes in all the data points and it gives us the best answer. So this is our best estimate of what the true cost of these are. Let's stop here. We'll do more of these next time. And again, part of the reason why we're doing it this way, and part of the reason why we're with the symbols and all that is I want to get you used to using them. A lot of times they're very simple. They look complex if you're not used to looking at them. And I remember when I started my master's program, we had to read all these articles, and they all had all this symbol stuff. And I remember I distinctly remember the first one, looking at it, and I didn't know anything about it. But the more I looked at it, I was like, oh, wait a minute, And then I realized, okay, they're just something about, okay, this is the average class size, this is the average, but it wasn't put into words, English words like I was used to seeing. It was put in things like this. All this means is this is the average total cost. That's all it is, average total cost. If I asked you what was the average total cost, you would real easily to say, okay, well, we're going to add this up and divide by 3. You wouldn't even need to think about it. But when it's in this kind of a formula format, it kind of throws us a little bit. At least Western thinkers like me, it looks a little different. But once you get used to using it, it's not so bad. So that's what I kind of want to get you guys familiar with, and so that when you do run into things that are in that kind of mathy nomenclature, that they have the symbols that a lot of times they're very simple ideas that are actually they look complex just because of the way they're written. What's the average total cost? Okay. What's the average variable cost? Simple, but because they're in those symbols, it makes it look a little bit more tricky. So anyway, we'll do more of those next time. There is you can put your there is a drop for the problems, I think. Let me. Yeah, so you can turn in the textbook problems that we did today. Excuse me, 21 and 25, you can turn those in. Don't turn in this handout yet. I think I have it. Oops, not that. Handout due the 8th. That's way wrong. Let me edit that. The handout will not be due the 8th. This handout will be due 22nd. Okay, let's change that to 22nd. Okay. So don't turn in the handout yet, the chapter 10 handout. When we finish it, we'll turn it in, but you can turn in the textbook problems, 21, 25. Okay. You don't need to get the whole page in here, don't you? So if you want to get a screenshot, that's kind of the working out of the problem. Okay. enough fun for today. I will see you guys in a week. All right. Any questions? Okay. All right. I will talk to you guys later.